right, hello everybody. Welcome to Serger Sunday. I had a little bit of a took a little bit for this to log on, so that's what the delay was, but we're right on time. And we're going to get started here in just a minute or two. Let me get some more things all set up here. Moved around, all that fun stuff. You over there for right this second. Alrighty. So if you watched my episode yesterday on the B990, I was creating quilt binding and I got it all ironed and pressed this morning. So next I'm going to attach the binding to the back of the quilt using my serger. I have the Bernina L890 serger, and I'm going to attach my quilt binding to the back of the quilt, and then Tuesday night I'm going to flip it over to the front and we're going to stitch it down using decorative stitches on the 990. Hi Linda. Hi Allison. Happy Sunday everybody. Yeah, it took me a second to get logged on. It was just really slow logging on, or I'd have been on a couple minutes or so ago. Anyway, we're about to get started. Ooh-wee. And I'm going to change my glasses to my sewing glasses. Okay. So the first one I'm going to attach the binding to, and we're just going to get started here. I am going to put the binding on this quilt, my big trip around the world, right here, this beautiful quilt here. Okay, and I have the binding all nice and neatly pressed and ready to go. There is the binding I've made for it. Okay, so I'm going to set this here beside the serger. Now I have the serger set up with a 4-thread overlock, and I have it set. I have the cutting blade set at 6 millimeters, but I have my seam guide set for 1/4 inch. So that's what we're going to do. Let me just lay that up there for a second. I'm going to manipulate this a little bit so it's easier to manipulate. I don't have a lot of space right here, and this is a big quilt. So it'll be fun. You might hear something go on the floor. It's okay. It might just knock something off. We'll see. Okay. Woohoo. So there's that. And I am going to switch to a different camera here in just a moment. Hi, Bernadette. Welcome. Yeah, so I've got two quilts to attach the binding to. This one is this floral, isn't that beautiful border fabric right there? But yeah, this is the beautiful trip around the world. Okay. And let me move this. Set my camera on it. There we go. And let's see how that works. I'm trying something a little bit different with that camera today. There we go. Alrighty. Right there is my seam guide. Let me give you a close-up as to what I've got going on here. I have a 4-thread overlock. Stitch length 2.5 millimeters. Differential 1 or neutral. And of course I have my 2 needles, cutting blade, seam guide. That's 1/4 inch from my leftmost needle. So that'll give me a 1/4 inch seam. All that fun stuff, and we're going to get started. Just making a few camera adjustments here before I start sewing. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now I am using my knee lift. Boy howdy, it gives you an extra hand, which is really beneficial when doing something like this. Okay, right there. I'm going to move this over so you can get another look. I have my quilt sandwich underneath my presser foot now. There you go. Okay. Now I'm going to find my starting end of my binding. Let's see here. Where are you? That's the end. Okay, there we go. Here it comes. There's the end of my binding right there. Let's see. Hi, Carol. Okay, so I already have a video here on my channel on how to do this, but I'm going to be making an updated, more detailed one here soon. And I'm just going to line up my raw edges. I'm going to open up my binding. Okay, right there. That's the machine calibrating. And boy howdy, it's not really trimming anything but threads off, which is exactly what I wanted, because I don't really want to trim any fabric on this. Okay. So now I'm just going to take that off to the side and cut it. What I'm making here is a pocket for the binding to go down into once we get all the way around. So what I did, I opened it up and I stitched it down about 6 inches. Now I'm going to lay it back over. Okay. And I'm going to start stitching where I ended at. Okay, but through all the layers. There we go. Now we're ready to go all the way around the quilt. And I free motioned this quilt in my long arm. Check it out. There's some of this, so you can see some of the quilting, just an overall meander. Okay. And now I'm just going to go around, and our milestones, we have 4 corners to turn. I want the needles to stop in the down position. Quick look at it here. Oh, that is perfect. Yes, indeedy. Okay. And it's really the same concept as sewing on binding using your sewing machine, everybody. You know what? I'm going to turn my blade off. It's cutting some little black threads, and I don't want that going around to the front of my quilt. Let me try it and see if that helped. See, there went my mouse in the floor. Oh, that is better. No, you know what? That blade can stay on. That did not really make any difference. Hold on just a second while I get my grabber to pick up my mouse. My grabber. And yes, I just picked up my mouse. It's right here. There we go. My computer mouse. Oh my goodness. Carol, I don't know what I don't have anything scheduled for Naples just yet, so I honestly don't know. Bernadette, I got this entire quilt kit at Flash Sew and Quilt in Naples, Florida. So that's, if you call that store and they have any, they will ship it. You can purchase it right over the phone and they will ship it to you if they still have any. I'm going to have to get me another monitor over here closer to my Serger because I only have one in here right now, and it's where it's located, and it takes me a second to focus. It's a little bit of it's about 8 feet from where I'm sitting. Okay, now as I come to the end of my binding right here, hold on. There we go. There we go. Okay. When I come to the end of my binding, when I get a 1/4 inch away from this edge, I'm just going to stop and angle off. Okay. There's that. Now I'm going to fold this back at a 45-degree angle. Finger press it, then fold it down the side. The side I'm going to go down next. Okay. And here's where this knee lift really comes in handy. Get that right up to the needle. Here we go. And get it started. There we go. And we'll just go down to the next side. And once I get a little more fabric fed through, I'll give you a preview of what that finished binding will look like. But all the fabric, except for this backing fabric here, was in the quilt kit that I purchased at Flash. Make sure if you call them that you saw Richard said to call them. I do not get a commission or anything, but I just like people to know that I'm sending business their way whenever possible. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So there it is. There's the corner. I'll have to just trim that. But when I go to turn that, check it out. I turn it to the front. it makes a miter on the back, and it will make a miter on the front when I turn it. Easy peasy. Just want you to see how pretty that binding. This binding is really going to frame in these colors right there like that. Okay. Yeah, so the fabric is called decoupage, and it's by the fabric company is In the Beginning. And the last I looked, it's still a current fabric line. But all the fabrics in this quilt are from that line of fabric. Okay. Woohoo. It's really, once you get started, it's really kind of fast to do this on a serger. Except when your rolly chair gets on top of your binding and it won't move forward. Okay. Now to attach the next binding, I'm going to change threads. I'm going to try something a little bit different on that one. And once again, I am using a 4-thread overlock stitch for this binding. The next one, I'm going to set it up for a different stitch. It'll still be an overlock stitch. But on the next one, I'm going to put in some fusible thread in the lower looper and give that a try. Okay. I saw my coffee cup here moving, vibrating to the edge of the desk of the table here, so I'm going to move it. That would not, coffee on a white quilt, not a good, would not be a good thing. That would not be a good thing. I would actually then have to stain the entire quilt with it to make it look right. We've all heard of tea dyeing, right? Well, this would be coffee dyeing. Okay, get next down to our second corner. Yeehaw. Okay. Alrighty. Now I'm going to fold it up, because here's the next end. I'm going to come down right here. So I'm going to fold it so all the raw edges line up. It's got a 45-degree angle coming in from the corner. I'm going to finger press it. Then I'm going to fold it back on top of the fold. The fold should line up on this side of where I just sewed. And then just line it right up with all those raw edges again. Get it under the presser foot all the way back to the needles. Here we go. And we're ready to go down that side now. Easy peasy. Now, I do like to use the metal foot because this is going through so many layers and all. Normal, if I was just piecing a quilt top without all these layers and batting, I would use the clear foot. But I just think the metal foot does a better job for this particular process. Okay, I gotta adjust my quilt sandwich there. Here we go. And get to the next side. Okay. Everybody, I am keeping an eye on the chat window. Right along with this. Woohoo. The backing fabric is some that I saw here in the shop. It's 108 wide cotton, and it's white on white. There's a white print on top of the white fabric. Very subtle. It was perfect for this quilt. And I really prefer to attach my binding to the quilt using the serger. It trims off any loose threads and all that fun stuff. And I do believe it's a little bit faster process than doing it with a sewing machine. Yes, this quilt, I have pieced it. I pieced the quilt top on the serger. Then I quilted it on my long arm, and now I'm attaching the binding with my serger. That was the third corner. We only have one more corner to turn. Woohoo. Okay. And once again, we're going to do our fold and line it up for the next straw edge to come down. Give that another go. There we go. Hey, Bernadette, if Call Flash, I know they're not open today. They did have some last month, so I think if you should just call. You'll have to physically call the store to find out. Because that fabric company, they do have a website, but they do not sell fabric to the public. They only sell to stores. Unfold some more of this raw edge here. There we go. I'm sure there are some stores out here that still have some of that fabric. Alrighty, my last corner's turn. Woohoo! Okay. And I don't have enough binding made. Look at here. There's my end. It's not long enough. So, let me think here. Let me think here. I still have a little bit more of that fabric left out of the kit. So, what I'm going to do, I will be right back. Let me think where it's at here. I'm going to go cut me another strip of that fabric. I'll be right back. Woohoo. Okay, so I'm going to just piece this on with the serger. Then we're going to go ahead and cut an extra strip in case I needed it. Okay, I'm going to turn that corner. Okay. I don't think I'll need to attach that second strip, but I cut it just in case. I'm going to take my time. Just go down this edge. Cheat and not press the strip I added on. I can get by with it. Since I'm not top stitching it down today, I'll have time for that just a little bit later. Just going to make sure I line up those raw edges nice and neat. And the world is golden once again. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. Now then, we're approaching our join. Yeah, it was one strip shy of having enough on this one. Woohoo. Okay, here comes the join, everybody. Oops. There we go. Hi, Tracy. So good to see you. Thank you. I am doing much better. I still have a raspy throat from my bout with COVID, but it's all getting better. Now then, so here we are. Here's where I started, right there. And all I'm going to do, I'm just going to fold this in half, my binding I'm attaching. I'm going to open up that flap and I'll lay it to the inside, but I'm going to trim this first. So I want to trim it beneath that diagonal fold line right there. So about right down here, right there. Now, keep that folded in half. Then I'll line up all those edges and fold my other piece back over the top of that. And that's how I do my joining on binding. Once it's all stitched down, you never see the join. It's all good and it's super easy to do. there it is. That binding is attached to my quilt. 100%. Now, there it is right there. If I didn't point it out, you'd never know. But right there is where that join is, right there. Look at that. Right there. So I can stick my finger down that little slot. But once I fold it back to the front and stitch down on the top of it, it's all nice and secure. Easy peasy. That's how I do my binding, everybody. Okay, so that one's done. Yay! Halfway there. Now I got to reset a few things here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap to my other camera for a moment. Hold on here. There we go. Hello there. Okay, so I just got to give myself a little bit of room over here where I have my other camera attached. I take this quilt up and set it over here. Then I have this beautiful purple binding. I will show a closer up picture of that in just a moment once I get my supplies together. Let's see, I'm going to thread with black thread, except I need my fusible thread for the lower looper. And let me think where I've got that, put that at. And it's right over here, in this thread case, I think. Yep. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Okay. And let me grab my quilt number 2. That's this hand embroidered quilt. The top is hand embroidered. Isn't that pretty? Okay. On the back of this one is a beautiful pink batik quilt backing. So I will stitch this to the back of the quilt. There we go. Alrighty. Just kind of getting it unfolded so I can manipulate it under the needle. There we go. Okay. There's that. Let me get a drink of my coffee. Woohoo. Okay. I quilted both of those quilts last week, everybody. Plus one more for a customer. Okay, so I'm going to swap back to my other camera now. Okay. Right there. There we go. So this is Wonderfill Iron Infuse. It's a fusible thread. By putting that in my lower looper, when I flip it back to the front, the thread the binding will go and lay on top of is fusible. Then I can just iron it in place. I've never used this one before, so we're just going to give it a go and see what happens. Okay. There it is. There's the fusible thread. It's very strong. So I have to rethread my machine. And I'm going to use a 3-thread wide overlock on this one. So I'm going to cut out all my thread. I'm going to back this camera up. And hopefully I can have it so you can see what I'm doing right up here. There we go. Okay. Oops. Here we go. So I'm just going to cut my thread close to the cones. Okay. I can take all of this Serger thread. I have a new favorite Serger thread, but I have a lot of the of the other I have to go through. This is Serger by Mettler, and boy howdy, it has a really fine finish. Doesn't produce hardly any lint. It's the least linty thread I have found. You can also use it in your sewing machine. Okay, so let's take that off. And I'm going to have, let's see, left needle, upper looper, and back here is the lower looper. So I'm going to take that off, and that's where my little fusible thread is going to go. Right there. So this is the Bernina L890. So the lower looper is a red thread path, the upper looper is a blue thread path, and the left needle is a yellow thread path. Everything is color coded. It's super easy to thread. I'm going to move my camera here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here on the front. There we go. Okay, so I just pulled my looper threads out. I'm going to pull my 2 needle threads out, and then I'm just going to pull it out. All the excess thread, there we go. Easy peasy. See, I am going to have to engage my loopers, my threading port, and by doing that on this machine, that puts the needles in the highest position, but sets you up for threading. I'm going to remove the right needle. Okay. And there's these little built-in foam blocks right here where you can, when you take needles out, you can just, there's just a piece of foam there to stick them in. I love that. Don't have to take that one out. Okay. So first I'm going to thread. I'm going to thread my lower looper first. You can thread it in any order, but that's just me. I like to go from right to left. Okay. I need to trim the end of that. Get a nice clean end. There we go. There's my lower looper. Now we'll do our upper looper. Which is the blue thread path. Trim the end of it. To let go of it at the right time so it takes it through. There we go. There's that. And then all I have left now is my needle thread. And that's the yellow thread path for my stitch. Now, once you've threaded these machines a few times, regardless of which machine you have, you pretty much know what to do. But the great thing about this is, this machine, once I select the stitch on this screen, it adjusts all the tensions automatically for me, which I truly, truly, truly love. Okay, there's all that. Let me close it up. Disengage the threading tubes, put on my thread catcher, close the store, and then we are good to go. I'm going to pull this back over here. drop that presser foot. Just chain off a little bit. There we go. Now all I have to do for all the tensions to be set, I go here to my touch screen, select that, I'm doing overlock, and I want to do a 3-thread wide left needle, stitch number 3, touch that, all my tensions are set. Super easy peasy to use. Generally, even though I can adjust each thread tension, unless I'm using really heavy decorative threads, I normally don't have to touch the tensions at all. But it's nice to know that if I do need to, I have that capability to do it. That's a good thing. So, I'll raise my needle up. I'll stick my quilt Sammy under there, just like before. Yes, Linda, you can thread them all at the same time. And let's see here. Let's take a look at this binding. Where did I stick that at? Binding, where are you? Thought I put it on top of the quilt, I guess. Underneath the quilt, I think. Let's see. No. No. Where are you at, binding? Oh. It's over. No, it's not it. Where did I stick that at, everybody? Oh, there it is. I see it. It's over here on the other side of the serger. Here it is. This has all been pressed. And let me find the beginning end. Let's see here. There we go. Just a minute. There's the end. Okay. So there's the end that has the angular cut to it. Right there. Now, that's not just a pattern. These are actual stitches in this fabric, everybody. This is a Sashiko-inspired fabric that already has lines of stitching in it. Look at that. All of those are actual stitches, not just printed on the fabric. That lighter color stitch, those are real stitches. Okay, so just like the last time, I am going to get this underneath the presser foot. Okay, right there. Right there. There we go. I'm going to stitch down by opening it up about 6 inches, or 6 to 8 inches. Still 2.5 millimeter stitch length, 1 or neutral on the differential. Okay, on this machine, it's 1. Awesome. Alrighty. Now, I can angle off. Then I'm going to fold the binding back over. Let's have a look at this real quick though. Check this out. See, here's my black looper thread on the top. On the back, or the right side of the quilt, you see that white thread? That's fusible thread. So once I get it stitched down and I flip it over, I can go to the ironing board and then press it, and it will stay in place all around the edge of the quilt until I top stitch it down. Woohoo! How awesome will that be? Okay. Right there. Just like to overlap it maybe about an inch where I ran it off. And now I'm just going to go around the entire perimeter of the quilt, stitch this one down. Yep, yeah, it broke a thread somewhere. I went too fast. I bet it was that, no, it was the needle thread. Okay. And yes, I could have done a four thread overlock on this as well. I'm just going to rethread my needle. Let's see here. Yellow, yellow, and down, and there, and trim, and rethread. So yes, I've swapped to a different thread brand also. Still good thread, but it produces just a little bit more length than the other. But the thread is a little bit thinner, it looks like, as well, than what the Serger was. Just a little bit. Okay. Just take my time and go around it. And Linda, you can thread them at the same time if you choose to. You can also thread them in any order. Doesn't matter on the order. And I tell you another thing I love about this particular serger on the air threading. On this one, you activate the air threading by pressing on your foot pedal, which is great because it frees up both hands. Yep, that needle thread just went out on me again. So I'm going to change needle threads. The other two seem to be doing okay. I'm just going to put a little higher quality thread in that needle. find some other black thread. There we go. This is all-purpose thread, good for serger or sewing machine. This is Wonderful Designer. We'll just run that one through our needle. There we go. Trim the ends. Yeah, we're good to start now. Okay. And we're back off to the races. Woohoo. Yeah, that's a perfect stitch, so it's all good. There we go. Okay. Coming down to our first corner. I think this is our first corner. Excuse me. Now we're going to fold it up, finger press it, make sure all the raw edges line up right here. Okay. There we go. Oops. I keep bumping into things, everybody. Okay, there we go. And fold it back over along that raw edge we're going to do next. Here we go. And put that right up against some needles. There we go. And we're ready to start. I just turned my motor speed down just a bit. I usually run it between 800 and 900. It'll go 1350. I really don't like to run it that fast. I don't have to. Especially on something that's more heavyweight like this. And whether you're doing this on a sewing machine or a serger or even by hand, there's always bulk, the bulk to deal with. So I stop every so often, just readjust everything. It's all good. it'll be interesting to see just how wonderful this fusible thread is, because it takes my other method is to wonder clip and glue down the corners. So I'm thinking I can bypass all that by using the fusible thread in the lower looper. Guess what, everybody? Changing out that thread so far has stopped that issue that was happening. Hi, Sandra. Also, this quilt has a little bit heavier weight batting than the other one had in it. And the reason I'm telling you that, because that does make a difference. On how the machine feeds it through. And once again, I am using the metal foot because of for that very reason. This is actually 4 layers of fabric and a layer of quilt batting that's going underneath this presser foot. Coming down to corner number 2. Woohoo. Once I get this done, I'm going to show you a new little tool I purchased for my sergers and sewing machines, because I'm going to clean out underneath here once I get done with this binding attachment. Okay, then we're going to fold it, and then fold it this way. And yes, I do have it stopping in the needle down position. That is another feature I love, 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 love on this Bernina serger. You can actually tell it to stop needle up or needle down, just like on your sewing machines. Hi, Kathy. Oh, good grief, Kathy. I did realize I was having technical issues. Yeah, nice shirt, I know. Oh my gosh. I grabbed a purple shirt. I thought I had my other one on like I wore yesterday. So let me get me some more coffee, everybody. Be right back. Okay. Alrighty. Oh my gosh, Kathy. How are you doing anyway? You can see I'm playing I am sewing down. I've already done one quilt binding. I'm doing a second one. And on this one I've got fusible thread in my lower looper. And I'm sewing the binding to the back of the quilt. So that when I flip it to the front and press it, I won't have to wonder clip it or anything like that. We're trying it. The fusible thread I'm using is Wonderfill fusible thread. Right back here, everybody. This is what it looks like on the machine, right back there. There it is. Wonderfill fusible thread. There we go. Alrighty. We are coming up on corner number 3. Corner number 3. What's really cool why I chose this fabric for my binding, the threads, the stitch threads that are in this fabric match the quilt back. It also matches the front of the quilt as well. That's wonderful, Bernadette. Now, Bernadette, I will be in Michigan in November for the Novi Sewing Expo. So you should be all healed by then. You'll have to come down and visit with me. Okay, coming up on corner number 3. Oh, wonderful, Kathy. I was on the 990 on here yesterday, and I was actually making this binding for my 2 quilts that I'm working on the Serger today. Next Saturday, I have I am doing 990, and we are making Riley Blake Little Red Riding Hood rag dolls in the hoop on the 990. And one day, I don't know if I'll do it through the week or on next Sunday, I have to make some new pillowcases. So that's probably what we'll do next Sunday, everybody, for Serger Sunday. We're going to make pillowcases on the Serger. It is time for some new pillowcases for the bed. For the bedroom. Yes, Kathy, in the hoop. When I was down in July at Flash, I brought home with me a Riley Blake embroidery CD, and it's all in the hoop, even the clothing and everything. It is, well, anyway, Little Red Riding Hood, the Big Bad Wolf, Grandma, and the Farm Helper. 3 different sizes of dolls for each of those four. And the smallest size doll you can do in a 5x7 hoop. I mean, there's like 4 hoopings though for each doll. But anyway, you'll tune in next Saturday. It'll be fun. But it's a Riley Blake. Let me grab the box. I saw this and just had to have it. Check that out. That's next Saturday on the 990. Inside of the case is a it's all on a USB, which is really great. But yeah, aren't they adorable? The 3 sizes are 14, 16, or 18 inch. Hoop sizes 5x7 for small, 6x10 for medium, 8x12 for the 18 inch. And those are just minimum sizes. All that fun stuff. But that's next Saturday on the 990. Next Saturday we're doing the Little Red Riding Hood doll. From start to finish, just the Little Red Riding Hood next Saturday. Oh, Kathy, I think you need that also. they would totally love it. Even the faces are all embroidered in the hoop. That's what's really cool. I think is so cool about it. On the Big Bad Wolf, his feet, the paws are embroidered on the feet. The paw prints. going through my fabric, needing the fabric together for it. Coming up to the last corner, number 4. Woohoo! Hoopy doopy hoo hoo. Here we go. And once again, I do have my seam guide here on my L890. I have it set so I'm getting a 1/4 inch seam. And the blade is just trimming off loose threads. There's no fabric there. You can just see that's just the loose thread from the edge of the binding and the quilt. Okay. Alrighty, now I'm going to fold it. We're going to do our folds. Right there. And back this way. Okay. Now, I cut all straight of grain binding for these 2 quilts. I have an easy method to cut bias binding. I do have a video on that. So if you want to see that video, just go and search on my video page to search my videos and just put in bias binding and you'll see how to fold the fabric to cut it with a rotary cutter and a ruler. Or if you have AccuQuilt, you can cut it with AccuQuilt. It's all good. I cut mine with a rotary cutter and a ruler. Okay. Ooh, I see the end of the road here, everybody. We're back to our starting point. Just about back to the starting point. Yeehaw. Alrighty. Let's get closer to where we started at. And then we're going to trim our binding. Okay. Okay, so once again, there's where I have my open fold where it makes the pocket. So I'm just going to bring this and lay it over the top. And I'm doing a 45-degree angle like this for my cut. Right there. Now I'm going to open this one up, put it inside of my starting point and fold that flat back down over, aligning all the raw edges, and now I'm just going to stitch right over it. I do have a 3-part video on this type of binding as well. There we have it. There we have. That is 2 quilts. How long did that take, everybody? Let me look at my clock. In an hour and a half, I have attached the binding to 2 large quilts. So let's go back up here to the join. Right here is where the join is. And get this closer. There we go. Right there at the end of my finger, it's right on the join. There it is. You can see it in this light. See that little pocket there? But when I fold it over into the front, and I'm going to use a decorative stitch and stitch this down, that'll be very secure on the front of my quilt. Let me just give you a preview. There we go. Look at that. There's the binding. There's the front of the quilt. Yes, so this quilt top, everybody, I'm going to talk about this for a minute. I'm going to flip it over and run this camera where you can see some of the designs in it. This is all hand big stitch cantha embroidery, for lack of a better word. Check it out. The edges of the quilt have mushrooms. Now this is just a solid piece of cloth with the embroidery and hand stitching on it. I found this top at a thrift store in Denver when I lived out there. I paid $3 for this quilt top. And I finally put it in the frame and quilted it. It's making a beautiful quilt, isn't it? Look at that. Isn't it pretty? My little dog is snoring. There's Puffin right over there in his little couch. He's just snoring to beat the band. Okay. Woohoo. Get that back up here now. And yes, so that is 2 quilt bindings on. Hey, I'm doing good today. After a few of my mishaps. Let me swap to the other camera. Okay. Let me swap to my other camera. Hello there. Now then, so that was quilt number 2. I just call it my mushroom quilt. Then the first one I did, darn it. First one I did is this one right here. We put the binding on this one also, but this is my trip around the world within the beginning fabric, and it's a decoupage is what the name of the fabric collection is, with these big beautiful floral border prints. Isn't that pretty? I love this one. I love them both. But then this is the binding I attached with the serger on it. It's a black, like a black toil type of fabric. It'll really frame that border fabric really nicely. Oops. Here we go, right here. Now you see it this way. You just slip it over. Right there like that. Just trying to get it for the right camera angle. There we go. There we go. Oh my goodness. Yes, Tracy, I miss my thrift stores. There's a wonderful one in Park. There's a couple of really nice ones in Parker, as a matter of fact. And I think that's where I found this particular piece at. Was it one of the ones in Parker? But Denver Metro has tons and tons of thrift stores. And oh my gosh, I sure do miss that. They're a little more few and far between here. There's a few good, but not like they have in Colorado, let me tell you. Okay. So, let's see. Other projects I have going on right now that I'll be doing on camera is a new bucket hat. I'll be making a bucket hat. I'm doing a mock-up now to make sure my pattern's the right size. But then I will make one completely live on camera. And I've got these two quilts. So Tuesday night at 6 p.m. on the 990, Tuesday night, I'm finishing these two quilts here on Tuesday night beginning at 6 p.m. Central Time. Woohoo! And let's see. Have a lot of upcoming projects, but yeah, it's all good. So that's what I had for you today. Woohoo! And everybody, have a wonderful rest. That's all I have for you today. Oh, Bernadette, I'm sure I might have to go there and check that out, Bernadette. Yes, that would be 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So, Janelle, we just attached all the binding to both quilts. Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Central Time, I will be stitching down and finishing this binding. Just so everybody knows that, 6 p.m. Central Time on the Bernina 990, I'm going to be using decorative stitches to top stitch all of my beautiful bindings down. Okay. Woohoo, I'm excited. I'll have 2 finished quilts of my own this week. These 2 quilts are mine. They're not for customers. Woohoo. Alrighty. So everybody, that is all that I have for y'all today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm going to work on my camera setup between now and Tuesday also. Oh my goodness. I will see y'all on Tuesday night. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Have a glorious Monday. And I love all of you. And I'll see you on Tuesday. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye now.